It's Care Providers of Minnesota's The Inside Scoop, featuring your advocacy team, Patty Cullen, Toby Pearson, Aaron Bowie, and Todd Bergstrom. This week's host, Toby Pearson.
Welcome to today's Inside Scoop. Today is Friday, March 1st. We haven't started March Madness yet, but we'll get to that later. This week we had two major developments, and we'll talk about a few other things. First major development was that the House File 90, which is the advocate's position on licensure of assisted living, had another hearing this week. This week it was in the Judiciary Committee. Although we raised many concerns about issues in the committee, they discussed some and they passed it on. The bill will now go to the Government Operations to review the part of the bill that has to do with rulemaking and one other small part that we'll be commenting on next week as well. That bill continues to move through the process. The Senate has not taken up their position yet, but we anticipate our language to be introduced next week on what we would do with assisted living licensure. Bigger news this week with implications for us. The release of the February forecast, which, if you read the action articles, told you two things. One, the February forecast is the budget numbers that the legislature and the governor actually have to balance to by the end of the session. And two, that number went down, unfortunately. Wah, wah, wah. We have about $500 million less than we thought we had in November, which means it will be more difficult for them to argue and negotiate and balance to a number. In fact, if you include inflation in the projections, we no longer do that, the numbers go down considerably, and in fact we have a deficit in the out years. So things are going to get much tighter financially at the Capitol. Also this week, if you were reading in our updates, both action as well as the email that Patty Cullen sent out, the governor's budget that was released last week had a cut. Well, we call it a cut. They call it a decrease in spending. Semantics, of course. In the nursing home VBR area. What this decrease in spending / cut did was that they saved money in making changes to the quality component. They also made some changes to the therapy payment system, and there is a cap in the other operating of 3%. There is also the connection back to EW caps and whether or not they go up, depending upon whether or not the operating payments for nursing facilities go up. So there's an effect on EW as well. All totaled, it was $68 million of savings or cuts, depending on which way you're talking about it. Our simple message, easy for me to say, it's a simple message, to legislator and the governor is this: do not decrease the spending in nursing facilities and EW. The $68 million is unacceptable, and we do not want it. So, if you have to go back and look at the email that Patty sent out, otherwise it's quite simple. Relay that to your senator and or House member. Let them know no to $68 million in cuts to nursing homes. Next week, two things for you. First, I won't be here next week, so you'll have a guest who will be doing it, because we like to spice things up and we like to change it as to who's going to give you this information. We are also expecting, as I said before, the House to hear the advocate's version of licensure in GovOps, House File 90, if you're following along at home, and we will introduce our bill on licensure as well. So look forward to hearing about those things next week on the Inside Scoop. But for this week, that is the Inside Scoop.